There we are. We're live on the Strange Oddities podcast. Another week gone by, another episode gone by. And of course, as always, I always try to bring interesting and exciting guests for my listeners and viewers of the Strange Oddities podcast. I'm hoping I fixed my chat for the Strange Oddities podcast. You can chat with us during the show. As always, guys, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Go to the YouTube channel, click that little icon of looks like a little bell, hit that, subscribe if you can. That'd be great. Appreciate it. And we're ready to rock and roll here. Unfortunately, Alexandra Holzer from the Holzer Files had to reschedule to be a guest this week on the Strange Oddities podcast. But no worries, we will eventually have her on the show, and I'm excited for that because we have so much to talk about with the original Ghost Hunter, Hans Holzer, and her being on the hit show on Discovery Plus. Of course, you have the Holzer Files with Dave Schrader, Cindy Kaza, and Shane Pittman. So guys, I have this really awesome gentleman I'm going to introduce to you guys. I'm going to read a little bit of bio so you guys know a little bit about him, give you a little background about this gentleman. I'm real excited to have him. He's one of the good guys in the field. And I met him at the Conjuring House, actually, in Rhode Island. And it was great to work with him that night. We had a lot of people during that investigation, but we managed it considering how many people we had that night. So I thought it was a fun night despite all the excitement we had going on that night. I thought it was a great night. So here's his bio, guys. Unlike most, he did not have a previous paranormal experience that propelled him to start investigating. For him, it was always a fascinating topic that simply intrigued him throughout his youth. In his adult life, when he finally began to pursue his childhood interests in regards to the subject, for the past several years, he's actually been actively investigating the paranormal. He's explored some of the most haunted locations in the country. These include Waverly Hills, Ohio State Reformatory, Eastern State Penitentiary, Pennhurst Asylum, which is a great place. I love Pennhurst. Rolling Hills Asylum, the great Shanley Hotel that everybody loves in this tri-state New York region. Just to name a few. He does consider himself a skeptic, and first and foremost. However, since he's begun his journey into the paranormal realm, he's seen and heard some unexplainable things, and these instances have vastly expanded his knowledge of the field since becoming involved as a paranormal investigator. And he's met some wonderful people throughout his years of investigating and haunted locations. And at this point in his life, he would not change a thing. So I want to go ahead and welcome Mr. Joe Rainone, if I have if I have that correctly.
You do, Matt. Good
Great.
work.
Yeah, no, Joe, thanks for coming on the show tonight. Really appreciate it. We're just gonna kind of talk shop and talk about anything paranormal, what you've been up to, and I gave everybody a little background about you. We, like I told everybody, you heard me. We met in person. We worked at the Conjuring House a little bit. It was a lot of people, but it was fun.
Yeah, that was a great night. We had fun that night, and it can be a bonding experience when you're with a group of people that share the same interests. I mean, I felt like I met so many friends that night.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah, so many great personalities were there. We had the psychic housewife of New Jersey there, April.
Yep.
Who was on the Holzer Files. She made a cameo on that show. We had Ron Yacovetti, Gonzalez from Gone Yak Paranormal.
Yep.
We had Carl Johnson, and his brother Keith showed up, which was very surprising. And that was actually a surprise to me because I had no idea they were even going that night.
Yeah. Great guys.
Yeah, but I was just like, it was a privilege to investigate with everybody that night.
Yeah. It was a good night.
Yeah, definitely.
So, I've yet to have a bad night at that house.
Yeah. Are you still working with them? I know it's for sale, and
Yeah,
unfortunately, they're
yeah,
moving on. But
I'm still involved. If if there's any events that are going to come down the road or not, I'm not sure. Because the house is for sale. So,
right,
I'm actually due to go down there next weekend
nice,
with Paranormal New England. We actually booked it, so I'll be seeing Corey and Jen. I haven't seen them since before the holidays.
right.
So I oh boy, I'd hope to get one more event in with those guys before the
Right.
house sells. But
Yeah, one
I've
big
been
hurrah.
yeah, I mean, I've was friends with those guys well before they bought the house. So if the house gets sold tomorrow, that's not going to change,
Right. Yeah, those friendships will still go no matter what.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and a lot of hard work went into that because trying to keep up that place with the history behind it and its reputation, I'm sure it speaks for itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but that's a great location if you guys ever want to investigate until it's sold to a new owner. I'm not sure if are they still doing public investigations or inviting people to come investigate or
So they're still doing tours,
okay.
and from what I was told, I guess anything could change any moment. From
Yeah.
what I was told, like even if it would sell tomorrow, they're going to honor all the bookings that were pre-booked
Oh, that's good.
throughout 2022.
Right.
Yeah, that was actually. I mean, I give them kudos for that, because a lot of people would just be like, "Well, look at I'm selling. What do you want from me?" But that
Right.
is a stipulation to whoever buys it, that they will honor the current schedule. So
That's great. That's
yeah,
awesome. They do that. Yeah. Very commendable for that. But so tell our listeners a little bit more about you. I gave everybody a brief bio of your background. Like maybe talk about how you got started. What was
yeah,
your
sure.
first investigation? What propelled you to really what some of the experiences that you had that stood out the most that made you really want to become an investigator.
Well, so for me, I as a child, I just always had an interest in ghosts. I think it all started when we took a family trip to George's Island, right outside of Boston, and my cousins tried to scare me with the stories of the lady in black, and I just thought it was fascinating that maybe I could somehow catch a glimpse of her if I hung around in one of the forts long enough. And that didn't happen. But it's been with me since I was 5 years old. I've always had an interest. I've always read a ton of books on it. Then you hit your teenage years and other things come into your life, cars and girls and stuff like that. So that kind of, I kind of shelved the interest in the paranormal up until probably, I'm a grown adult, and I'm sitting and I'm watching Ghost Hunters for the very first time, and I'm blown away that people are legitimately out hunting ghosts. I had no idea people were legit trying to find ghosts, and that show
Right.
just opened my eyes, and I was like, "Oh my god, I got to do this. I got to do this. I got to do this." And then, on either side of me, I have two little ones. And, I'm like, well, it ain't going to happen right now. But as soon as they get a little older, I'm going to look into pursuing this. So when they got a little older and more manageable, and I felt a little bit more comfortable, leaving my wife with two little ones at night, it's when I started doing it. So it's probably been about 11 years now.
Wow.
And I was watching an episode of Ghost Hunters again, and I just said, I think it's time. And I reached for my laptop, I threw it open, and I went to Craigslist, and I just did a search on, like ghost hunting, stuff like that. And one of the ads I saw was from a team called Paranormal Destination, gentleman named Glenn LaRocca. He still has a group. We're still friends, but he was my very first group that I got involved with. And when you said, what was your very first investigation, Matt, honest to God, I forgot. And I'm trying to like rack my brain, like, what was the first one I went to? What was the first? Well, it was Weeder Hill in Rhode Island.
Oh wow.
Fort Weeder Hill. Yeah, that was my
Wow.
very first one.
Cool.
Um,
Very
yeah,
cool.
Yep. And it just, I mean, we didn't get much, but I was hooked. I was hooked.
I will admit, and I've told others this in the past, but I think the majority of us, when we saw that this was done on TV and we saw ghost hunters, on TV doing that, I was the same way. And I was hooked once I seen that this was feasible, that somebody could join a group of individuals to go, with like-minded people that had an interest in the paranormal. And I was like, I just had to do it. And then I
Yeah.
joined my first group, I think like 2000, and I think in the year 2003 or 2002, somewhere around that time. And I was hooked myself. And from that day forward, I was just like, learned what I could, and then just ventured out onto my own. And but yeah, I will be a geek and admit that ghost hunters really, inspired me and propelled me to dive more deeper into the research.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
So, and they're actually coming back, from what I understand.
They are. Yep. Yep.
Yep.
And
So,
just with them being in New England, and myself having a little bit of ties to the Conjuring House. I've
right.
actually met a few of them, and I've investigated with a few of them too, which is kind of exciting. And
Nice.
in my wildest dreams 11 years ago, sitting on my couch, flipping my laptop open and searching Craigslist, I would have never in a
Yeah.
thousand years have thought that was ever going to be possible. So
Very cool.
yeah.
Yeah, I met them back in 2007 at the Haunted Mansion. I don't know if you ever heard of the Haunted Mansion.
Out
In
in Adams, Mass.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of my favorite places.
Yep.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's under new ownership, and I don't think they're doing very much with it. But
I think, they've owned it for a while now, and I haven't heard boo
yeah,
about it. I was kind of hoping with the new ownership, maybe they would have
I
kept it going like the Masonic temple did, But
right.
and who knows, maybe they still will. But I was lucky enough to make it in there twice before it got sold.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I first met them in person, and it was Jason Grant, Steve Gonzalez.
Yep.
All three of them were there, and we had a blast investigating with them. And I met other like-minded people in the field that were there for the event. There were other people from the public there, and that's how I got to network and know other people from my area were actually there, and we've been friends with those people ever since. So,
Yeah.
which is like such a great thing, and that's what it's about. It's about networking, and that's what it's about.
You're 100% right. It's about being a good person, right? Not trying to backstab others,
Yeah,
and it's about networking. Well,
yeah.
100%,
Yeah,
100%.
like I said, getting to know Joe a little bit, we discussed about how awareness is so important, because my mindset has gone a little differently these years. I used to be, I don't know, narrow-minded, but not so narrow-minded, these days. I've come to realize that everybody brings something different to the table. Everybody has different skill sets, everybody's got different talents, and everybody brings something different to an investigation, whether it be intuitive, technical, all these different aspects of investigating. And when I saw that there was like so much to learn about, that's what really made me decide, like, all right, I don't want to be in this narrow mindset anymore, I want to go in this direction. So, what are some of the skill sets and things that you're into when you investigate? What are some of the things you like to do?
I'm a tech guy.
Okay.
Plain and simple. I like the gadgets. My main go-to stuff is EVP recordings.
Sure.
That's what I like to do the best. And then followed up with ITC stuff,
Mm-hmm.
spirit box stuff, portal stuff.
Nice.
That there's, I mean, that stuff. It is radio.
Right.
There is radio bleed through.
Right.
And I get it for the people out there that are like, oh, spirit box, a bunch of hogwash.
Yeah.
I get it. I honestly was really dead set against using them way back in the day, because only because I would hear songs coming through in the particular people I was with. Did you just hear that response? And I was like, yeah, that was a Journey song. That was Steve Perry just answered you, you know.
Right.
But then there are those times where, like, dude, like that wasn't the radio, you
Right.
know.
Right.
So it's distinguishing in between the two, and that actually can be kind of fun too, you know.
Hmm.
But definitely EVPs, because I want to know where the hell that answer came from. I know
Right.
it didn't come from me, and I know it didn't come from anybody else in this room. So
Right.
where did it come from? I mean, I'm not so sure it's a spirit or a ghost. I think it is, but who knows? It could be an alternate universe that it's somehow they're hearing it and it's bleeding through. But I just know that whatever it is, that's cool as hell. That something
Right.
just answered me.
Yeah, exactly. Like you can't just like dismiss the relevant answers that you get to some of the things that you're asking about or the situation, depending on what your technique is. You know, some people like to converse with um kind of like recreating situations about the history, whether you call it reenacting, or just asking basic questions, and you get responses, and you get relevant response, not just like a yes or no. You get like partial sentence, which is related to what you're asking, and it's like, I'm sorry, but if it's clear and it's there, to me, that's not radio. That's something,
Right,
you
right.
know.
And then what typically, like how I do it is, I'll run two separate recorders side by side,
Nice.
because a legit EVP, it's only gonna leave it on one and
Yeah.
not the other, and they could be side by side.
Yeah.
And that's how people are like, well, how do you know it wasn't one of you? Well, how do I know? Because this recorder was right next to it, and we play it back, and
Right.
that reply wasn't on that other recorder. So if it was one of us guys, it would have been on that second recorder. You
Right.
know,
Yeah. That's good.
we the one of the last times I was at Rolling Hills, and we were up in the infirmary ward, and in I think I've been there 3 or 4 times anyway,
Hmm.
and I always wanted to, they got that screaming woman there. You know, like when you go there, Sharon, I'll tell you about the screaming woman.
Right.
And I know a few people have caught her, and that was my, like, I was like, oh boy, man, I'd love to catch her. I'd love to catch her if I ever could. And I always like, everybody's like, oh well, she's downstairs near the kitchen and in the morgue or whatever. I just happened to be upstairs in the infirmary, and we had 10 recorders in that room running. 10,
Wow.
because everybody in the room had a recorder on them and or were using their phone to record. And 9 out of the 10, you just hear just our questions, no responses. We play that 10th one back. We got her screaming
Wow.
like like I'll have to play it. I posted it a while back on my Facebook page, but man, it was
Right.
crazy. It was so freaking
Wow.
loud. Like even Sharon was like, that's the best one we ever got of her. And she's and nobody ever gets her up here. She's like, it's
Right.
always from downstairs. So who knows? That's just another
Great.
thing. Like, who
Yeah.
knows? Like,
Yeah.
you know,
What blows my mind about that, and I've explained this to other people and some of the locations that we investigate, is why is it that you could have 20 recorders in the same spot, same area, and you're asking the same questions and whatever it is you're asking, but out of all the 20 recorders, only one picks it up.
they'll pick one.
Only
It's
one.
them. It's them. They pick the one they want. So they either maybe are familiar with that type of equipment, or there's a connection to the person who got it.
Mm,
That, I mean,
right.
that's, or maybe it's dumb luck, right?
Yeah.
Just
Right.
another who knows.
Yeah. One of the things I thought of is what stands out to me a little bit is the theory of the veil, right? We have the veil between us and the spirit world, and they say that the veil on certain days or certain times of the year is more thinner than others. And I'm wondering if maybe this is just one idea that I know is probably discussed around, a lot, but maybe that audio bleeds through those pockets of where it's thinner more than others, and that's where it's kind of bleeding through, and that's where that one recorder will record it.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of often thought the same thing because, and especially when you're doing like an ITC session with either a spirit box or a portal,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, all right, well, we need this piece of equipment to hear them.
Right.
How are they hearing us?
Right.
Right? How are they hearing us? I mean, I
Yeah.
don't have a microphone attached to my spirit box or portal.
Yeah.
So that's another one that, it's
Right.
like,
Yeah.
are they wherever they are with some type of equipment?
Right.
Who knows?
Yeah. Who knows?
There's
And then,
that theory of like technicians on the other side.
yeah, which could be, who knows?
Yeah,
But
right.
right. But the thing that frustrates me personally as an investigator and researcher is knowing that they are listening to us, because obviously they are responding to certain questions and answering certain questions, that it's always like random, and it's like, all right, well, you can answer this question, why can't you answer my other question?
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know
Yeah, I know. I know.
and it's
And
like,
and sometimes like the answers aren't relevant to anything you asked,
right,
which is like,
right,
geez, what.
yeah, what does that mean?
Right, right. So what I like to do is I like to go back and see, was it a question that I asked earlier
Mm,
that maybe they're just getting around to answering now,
right,
you
right,
know?
yeah.
Because I think
Oh,
there is a little bit of a delay there sometimes.
okay, yeah, that can make sense, yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. But I want to say hello to everybody tuning in for Strange Oddities podcast tonight. If you're just coming on, I have Mr. Joe Rainone on as a guest tonight. Guys, we have a chat. If you have questions, if Joe doesn't mind answering one or two later on, that'd be great. We do have a Cherie Marie D. Benedetti. Um,
Well, we know who that is.
who is that?
That's just from Taps.
Oh, really? Nice. Well, thanks for listening tonight.
Hey, Sherry.
Yeah, what's up? And my wife is in there moderating the chat. Want to say hello to my wife. Josie's there, and anyone else listening. Guys, we're just talking shop about the paranormal, what Joe is up to. He's been featured on, he's been featured on Paranormal Caught on Camera, which I think is a really cool show. I really like the premise of the show and some of the things that they offer as far as perspective or a little background on that piece of evidence. I think it's great that they invite other investigators and people who have caught it and interview them. And what was that experience like?
Well, so it was just it was I didn't make it on, but a clip that I sent in made it on.
Right.
Um, so I just I submitted it, and they got back to me saying that they would like to use it. They did do a Zoom session with me for the interview piece, and they
Hmm.
said we may or may not do the interview piece, but you know FYI, and at the end of the day, they just showed the clip, and that was it, and then just kind of discussed it. It was I caught, and again, Rolling Hills.
Right.
I caught just a door open on its own in the solarium, which is pretty wild.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah. It's I always tell people, I'm sure you feel the same way. Maybe not, but I tell everybody, if you have a paranormal experience or if you capture something that you can't explain, I feel you're very fortunate, because in my experience, it's rare that
Wicked.
somebody, right. It's rare to get those things captured.
It's for 11 years of doing this
Yeah.
in countless hours.
Hmm.
I would have thought I would have been able to fill a bucket like this big,
Right. Right.
with stuff. And in reality,
Yeah. It's like minute.
it's like that,
Yeah.
you know.
Exactly.
But it is what it is. And
Yeah.
I kind of correlate it to my terrible game of golf. I'll go out, I'll play 18 holes, and I'll shank 16 of them, but I'll remember the two. You know what I mean? I'll remember the 2 or 3 that it was able to nail it right down the fairway, and that's what kept me.
Right.
That's what keeps you going back for more. And it's kind of the same with ghost hunting, you know.
Right. Right.
But it is. It's like capturing lightning in a bottle, and you know. And I know, like, you know, my friends, you know, that don't ghost hunt, but here, you know, some of my experiences I've had. I mean, they think it's like a guarantee. Like, oh, as soon as you walk through the door, yeah, I mean, the
Yeah.
chandelier is gonna fall, and
We
you're gonna
wish.
see, you know, and try to tell them, like, guys, there's a lot of nothing that goes
Right.
on. So make sure you're with people you really enjoy being with, because you're
Right.
gonna be with them a long time.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. You can be there for hours and hours, and like
And
that's another thing I tell people about TV production. They're there even longer, sometimes multiple days, and so they have those hours of all those days that they're trying to do things.
they boil it down, you
Right.
know.
Right. And then yeah, nothing could happen for all that time, and then you walk away with like nothing.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's the reward for me. Like reward is getting evidence.
Right. Exactly. Like when I'm listening back to some long, like, not a burst EVP session, but like long EVP sessions,
Yeah.
it's like Christmas. You know, I'm waiting to unwrap that gift and see what's there. You
Yeah.
know, am I gonna get, you know, grandma's socks, or am I gonna get that new you know, that new electronic gadget that I wanted? You know,
Right.
you don't know what's there. But that your comment also reminds me, when we were talking about Houghton Mansion. I know the first time I went to Houghton Mansion, I mean, we were like, it was very, very, very active. We were getting really, really good stuff that we could not wait to rebook it.
Mm.
And we were like, oh, we're gonna rebook it. Well, like, let's do it the same, like, a year to the day. And we did. And I remember driving out there, and it was like a rainy night. It was almost something that you see out of a Scooby-Doo movie, you know. And we were just like, oh, it's gonna be great in there tonight with the rain and the this and the that and the other thing. We didn't get anything.
Wow.
It was like 2 separate places, and we were just like looking at each other like, what happened?
Yeah. Yeah.
We got so much stuff the first time, and
Right.
how did we get nothing the second time?
Yeah.
And I was still pretty, you know, pretty new. I only had a year or so under my belt, and then that's when it really hit me, like, it's a reset. No matter what place you go to, how many times you've been there, you really don't know what you're gonna get.
No, you don't.
You know.
It's really like the saying in Forrest Gump, life is like a box of chocolates and you don't know what you're gonna get.
Yeah, it's
You know?
so true. It's so
Yeah.
true. And you got to know that going in. So if anybody out there is thinking of doing this stuff, you know, you need a lot of patience, you
I
know,
was just
because
gonna say, yeah.
your first couple of outings, you know, and I mean, my first EVP, oh my God, it was months and months and months that I got like a legit EVP from
Right.
trying, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I remember my first EVPs were terrible, and when I was first learning about EVP and ITC and doing that stuff, and this is going back a long time ago, but I used to use analog cassette tape players and the old school stuff, and I would sit there and play it back, and I would hear these like tiny little things, after listening to nothing for like hours, and
Yeah,
I'd be
yeah.
excited because I'd be like, that little thing could be something, but it's not enough to be like, all right, this is evidence. No, it's not enough.
Right, right,
you
right.
know. So it just EVPs really get me too, because something is communicating with you, and what you're doing is working.
Right. And especially when you get intelligent ones that are directly answering the question you asked.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really exciting.
Yeah, yeah. So, out of all the gadgets that you've used on investigations, is there any type of ones that you like using the most, other than EVP and recorders and such, or is there one thing that you use more than others?
Well, I mean, again, so for me particularly, you're going to see me with a recorder and camera in my hand, and my other go-to would be a spirit box. I particularly don't care for the SB7s and
Okay.
SB11s and stuff like that. I'm
Right.
more semi old school.
Mm-hmm.
I like the Shack Hacks much better.
Right. Right.
Um, so those old Radio Shack hackable radios, those are my go-to spirit boxes.
Do you think? Let me ask you this question: when it comes to those devices, for me, I think when it comes to spirit box, I think it's the type of static noise that really helps induce the
The
audible,
white noise.
right, the white
Yeah,
noise,
yeah,
and the different types of white noise that are available for some devices. Because like there's pink noise, brown noise, different types of
right,
white noise that's
right.
there. Um, I find that with the SB7, you have too much, like it's either too loud or too much going on at the same time, and maybe it's intimidating for the audible things to come through. As to like what you're talking about with the Hack Shack, I think the static on those are a lot softer in a way than versus the SB7. I don't know what your thoughts on that.
Uh, I agree with your assessment of it. I don't know if that's what um, uh, is that what makes them better? I mean, I know some people don't like using them at all. I
Yeah.
think it just comes down to personal preference.
Right. Right.
I just so I think the component aspect of the Radio Shack stuff is just a higher quality component
Mm,
than what's put in the SB7s.
okay.
And I just think that especially like the ferrite in the AM
Right.
antenna,
Yeah.
it's a really good ferrite core, and the windings of it. I think it has something to do with that.
Okay.
That's just my
Sure.
personal take on it, but I'm not a scientist, nor do I play one on TV.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but there's something about the ferrite core and the windings of the magnetic wire around it,
Mm.
because my team, we actually got some cool EVPs with just using a ferrite core wrapped with magnetic wire.
Oh wow.
Yeah, yeah.
That's cool.
So now there's no denying that it was an EVP, and it came through the EMF field.
Wow.
And we also do our EMF sweeps with a bigger version of it, because
Mm.
you you plug headphones into it,
Mm-hmm.
and you can scan the room, and you can actually hear the EMF in the room.
Wow. That's
So
awesome.
it's way more. It gives you more of a sense than just using like a millimeter and getting a reading from it. If you can
Right.
actually hear it, and then
Yeah.
what's behind? Why is it so loud behind that wall?
Yeah.
Oh, the refrigerator is
You
behind
can
the
really
wall.
narrow it down. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And it's really cool. And a gentleman by the name of Mike Baker. He's no longer with the team, unfortunately.
Oh,
But he was just a brilliant scientist. And he kind of pioneered that for the group. And it's pretty crazy stuff. And we got some
wow.
really cool EV. But it's very very directional.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like a microphone where you would hold a microphone up and it's omni, where it's going to pick it up everywhere.
Right. Right.
Wherever that's pointing, so you have to be right on top of it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? You have to
So
be
it only
pointing
picks
in
up like right around it. Right.
right behind it and right in back of it.
Gotcha.
That's where it will pick up. And and you want to talk about trying to catch lightning in a bottle? That's something that, like, it's really difficult to catch stuff with. We only have a very very small handful of EVPs with that. But again, it wasn't taken with a conventional mic, and it all came through the EMF field. So
Yeah.
that just leads to more credibility that, like, these spirits are made up of EMF, because let's face it, nobody's really proved that. It's just theory.
Yeah. Absolutely. It is. Um, I'm having a problem with my chat again for some reason. It doesn't link up right, so I'm not seeing everybody's chat. But I know there's other people that are in the chat on my Facebook page. I try to link it to several different things at once, but I do want to make a mention to Debbie LaBelle, Ronnie Anderson. There's other people watching, so I want to say hello to everybody, guys. Thanks for watching tonight. We have Joey Rainone. Okay. Trying to get it out right.
I know I'm not what the holes are, people, guys, but you know.
Yeah. Oh, but we're having fun. We're talking
We are
shop.
having fun. We are
Yeah.
having fun. And I haven't talked to you in a while, Matt, so this is really good.
Yeah, so it's a treat. Yeah, I haven't seen him. I think it's been like what, 3, 4 years now?
No, probably it was right before COVID, so maybe
2.5 years.
2.5, something like that. Yeah. Because
Okay.
we were supposed to do a bunch of stuff, and
Yeah. And then
nobody
everything
did
died.
anything, you know.
Yeah. But no pun intended. Yeah. You know, but yeah, everything just like stopped, and we were actually very fortunate because we got to do that like right before it really hit.
Yeah.
So, you know, we were very blessed that that was able to work out. You know, but when did you have any experiences that night, or was there too much commotion? Or I know some people actually did experience stuff despite what was going on that night.
That particular night, I was more socializing with you guys because I
Right,
hadn't
right,
seen Ron and Lords in a while, so I was kind of like chit chatting with them, and that was really interesting to see, you know, like how Ron does his ITC stuff,
right.
because he takes it in a completely different direction, which is fascinating. That direct radio stuff is, you know, like I could really see myself getting into that as well.
Yeah,
At some point down the road, I think I'm gonna definitely look into it more. But yeah, I was just kind of like in the background watching you guys do your thing, and like I said, I was socializing a little bit here and
right.
there, and chatting with the Heinzens a little in the safe room. So I didn't really do a ton of investigating that particular night,
Yeah,
but I mean, more often than not in that house, I will get evidence rather than it being flat. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've been in there and have gotten nothing.
yeah.
But more often than not, I've gotten something. And it's funny that Sherry was in the chat. I don't know if she's still in there or not, but
Right.
shortly after Corey and Jen bought the house, I mean, I don't even think they were doing investigations yet. I think Ghost Adventures
Hmm.
had just come through, and Corey and Jen was still trying to figure out how to work the whole getting the teams in and stuff like that. And
Hmm.
it was myself, and it was a gentleman named Bill Brock. He was kind of the curator of the house while Corey and Jen was still back up in Maine. And you know, he would call me up every now and then. He'd be like, "Hey," he's like, "You know, can you come down, because we definitely want to get some evidence to show people, you know." And I was like, "Yeah." I go, "You don't have to tell me twice." And he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna I'm gonna call Sherry D Benedetti and have her come down." And I didn't think he realized that Sherry and I were friends.
Mm.
So I was like, "Oh," I says, "Well, then we could probably carpool down." I said, because Sherry's like a couple of towns away from me. And I gave her a call, and I'm like, "Hey, cool. I know you're coming down the house." And I says, "If you want to carpool, that's cool." And then she's like, "Oh, she's like, I'm gonna be detained because I gotta get my kids." So I says, "All right." I says, "Well, if you don't mind, I'm gonna head down." I said, "I'll just meet you down there." And she's like, "Yeah, go ahead. I'll see you down there." So I got down there a little bit early, and you know, Bill and I we were kind of just hanging out. We really weren't investigating. We were waiting to start the investigation. We were waiting on her, and we were sitting in the safe room, and we were just watching the monitor, chit chatting, and all of a sudden, you just hear this female voice.
Hmm.
"Hello." Just
Oh wow.
I butchered it, but it was like a female, like, "Hello," you know. And the front door just swung open gently, and I'm like, "Oh, Sherry's here." And she must need help getting some gear out of the car. And Bill's like elbowing me. He's like, "Joe, that nobody pulled in the driveway. We're watching the monitors." And
Wow.
I'm like, "I just heard a," and he finished my sentence. He's like, "A female voice." Like, dude, disembodied female voice. I mean, I like only one other time I've ever gotten a disembodied. And then plus the correlation of the freaking door opening.
Wow.
That was crazy,
Wow.
crazy, crazy, crazy. So
Yeah.
that was one of the craziest things that ever happened to me in that house.
Sure.
You know,
I mean, I know there's a lot of people out there that think because The Conjuring and the movies and that nothing is really real because everything's botched because of Hollywood and this and that. But if you read Andrea's book and you go by what her family has experienced and her time living there, Corey and Jen living there, having their experiences there, um, even though I was more socializing also more than investigating, but I had other friends of ours that were there that night that had experiences, and they were in the basement, and
I
it was
love the
very,
basement.
yeah,
Yeah.
Brianna um, Simonelli, Gerard's daughter,
Yep.
Gerard and his wife's daughter had a really tremendous experience, and it became overwhelming for her because I believe she's an empath, and she's very new at experiencing her empath ability.
She got shaken up, right? I
Yeah,
remember that. Yes, I
yeah,
was there for
and
that. Yeah.
just in case, Keith came out and was like, "Let me do a blessing, and we'll make sure she's okay." And God bless Keith for
She,
doing that because that was
I
awesome.
mean, she couldn't have been in better hands, in all
Yeah,
honesty, than to have those two guys there, because I mean, they've seen it all, they've done it all,
yeah,
and they know just how to handle that. I mean, to some degree at this point in time, I do too. But I mean, they're OG. You know what I mean? So if anybody was going to de-escalate, it was going to be
yeah,
those guys.
yeah. They're the real deal. I mean,
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm still part of networking and affiliated with the Dominion Ministry
Yep.
uh, that James Anito started or helped create a long time ago, and I still
Correct.
communicate with those guys. We still, if we try to get together with them, and
Yep.
those two guys, like the Johnson brothers and James Anito, and they're just tremendous people, and
Great
they
people.
have a true, genuine,
Absolutely. Matter of
at what
fact,
they do.
just went out to dinner with James, close friend of ours, celebrated her birthday, her 21st birthday.
Oh, nice. Happy birthday.
So I was just I'm joking. She's over 21,
Oh,
but yeah. So James is really nice guy, real deal. And again, keeps it real. And to me, that's like everything to me. I just, if I get wind that somebody's faking something or whatever, like, I mean, I'm done. I'm just done.
right, right.
I mean, I'm not gonna call people out, make it, but if I'm not talking to you, there's a good chance you probably fake something, and then I'm all set with that.
Right, right. Yeah, I get where you're coming from. Because believe me, there's a lot, as much as there's good, there's bad,
A 100%. And it ruins it
Yeah,
I'll be blunt, it ruins it for us, Matt.
yeah, absolutely.
It ruins it for teams like yours, teams like mine, who are
Right.
trying to do the right thing, not looking
Yeah,
for 15 minutes of fame,
right.
just trying to get legit evidence to show that hey, there's there is something out there that we don't
Yeah,
know about.
yeah, that we can't explain, that
Can't explain
science
it.
can't touch. And,
Right.
at
Right.
least not right now. And I mean, we've done a lot of work and there is a lot of breakthroughs with some of the work we've done as researchers. But we still can't definitively say what's going on. But there's so many theories. Like I like the one theory you brought up earlier, tonight, which is, maybe there's um the multi-universe thing or you know, um another dimension that's bleeding through. Or one thing I like to bring up sometimes is maybe we're communicating with the past, present, and future, not so much spiritual. Maybe we're dealing with time differences that's bleeding through with EVP, and maybe it's not so much spiritual end, but maybe there are people who are communicating with us from a different time, and that could be what we're communicating with. Who knows? But there's so many theories and ideas.
There's
It's
there's
crazy.
so many theories, and if somebody says they have all the answers, well, guess what? You don't.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So, but it's fun. I enjoy investigating, mostly with my friends. My wife and I don't do teams anymore, it became like a full-time job, and I wasn't having fun, and my wife and I had to take a step back, and because we were
It's
losing ourselves, and we were like, you know what, let's just go and do things the way we used to with just me and her. So we just,
yeah, yeah.
we're
That
kind of doing that now. But we're still friends with people, and we still work with them, and
Yep.
we'll investigate with them. And I think I'm enjoying that more because now I don't have the worry of running a team and running the equipment and telling
It's
people to do this or that, and you have
yeah.
more fun doing it.
Yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy, and the group I'm with, Paranormal New England. I mean, it is a democracy. Everything is pretty much up for a vote,
Hmm.
but uh, a team needs at least a figurehead. You know what I mean?
Right,
I think at this point I have the most tenure on the team, so I kind of took that role over as figurehead.
right.
Um, but I mean, if I decide I wanted to get out of this tomorrow, Paranormal New England does not go with me. It stays with the team. Um, but even in that slight, like, like leadership role, if you want to call it, it's tough.
It
It's
is.
just it's almost thankless, you know.
Yeah, you can't make everybody happy.
You really can't. And
Yeah,
I mean, I'm a pleaser by nature, you
right,
know.
right.
And
Yeah,
I try and make everybody happy. And you know nobody's paying me to do this. I mean,
yeah,
I'm doing it because I just like the idea of having a team, around me, or being a part of it. But totally see myself just being like, you know what, I'm going on my own. I just can't
right,
handle this
right.
anymore,
Yeah.
And we had some crazy controversy this past fall that really just it was bad. And
Mm,
I had to ask a couple of people to leave the team. I never had to do that before in my life,
wow.
but they were just going in a direction that went against everything that the team was founded on,
Mm,
long before I was even part of the team.
wow.
So I just wanted to keep that integrity for as
Right.
long as I'm still on the team,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I want myself to be well respected, and I want everybody around me to be well respected, and they are.
yeah.
And when I saw stuff kind of going down that rocky path, which I'm not going to get into, I just felt as though, this is not up for vote, so.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
it's tough, man. So I get it, Matt. Trust me.
yeah, yeah. So, but it's good because I found myself again being passionate about investigating and thinking about ideas on what kind of equipment to attach a project with, or build my own ideas because I've gotten into learning how to build certain things, and I modify my own stuff, and like I'm more into video ITC, not so much audio, but
Yeah.
I'm a video guy.
Yeah. That's another one that I keep
Yeah,
saying I gotta tap into the video ITC stuff. I,
right.
I gotta I gotta start doing that.
Yeah.
And I kind of, like I do a lot of thrifting and stuff like that on the weekends. So I'm always looking for something that I may be able to utilize cheaply enough to just dabble in it to see where it gets. That also fascinates me too. But that's another time consuming thing.
Right. Yeah.
When you get that video loop and you're and,
Yeah.
and you're running it for 3 or 4 hours, which is another thing, like, people that want to get into ghost hunting don't understand. So if you're running, oh, like, I'll keep it simple, a 4 channel DVR, right? So
Right.
you're running 4 cameras in 4 separate parts of the location for 4 hours, right?
Right. Right.
So that's 4 times 4 that you have to sit. Somebody's going to sit and watch it,
Right.
right? Same thing with a recorder. Every
Yeah.
recorder that you put out, somebody's going to go back and listen to it at some point.
Yeah.
So I mean, the
Yeah.
evidence review, it can be a bitch,
Strenuous. Yeah.
plain and simple.
Yeah.
So I mean, I try to stick to burst sessions for the most part, you know, because
Yeah,
just
we do too.
not, yeah, I really don't have the time like I used to back in the day to just go through the, you know, to go through all the recordings and all the audio.
Yeah.
And the sad thing is it can take a split second to miss something. And it's just funny that we're talking about this. I never in a million years thought you were going to bring up the Houghton Mansion. But again, this correlates back to the Houghton Mansion. We went to the Houghton Mansion that first time and we got a lot of stuff. And I thought I did a proper evidence review, which I gathered what I gathered from it.
Right.
And then years later, a college got a hold of me, or the team, I should say. And they're like, "Hey, can New England, can you guys help us out? We're looking to do a paper on the Houghton Mansion, and do you have any evidence that you can share with us?" So I was like, "Yeah, let me pull out my old hard drive
Mm-hmm.
and let me pull up my Houghton Mansion stuff." And I started re-reviewing that stuff from I missed stuff the first go round,
Yeah.
but it was
Wow.
split second stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if, you know, if I was reviewing it and one of my kids was like, "Hey dad, can you, no, leave me alone." And I turn back around, it's gone.
Yeah.
That moment in time was gone. So
Yeah.
that's my one thing. I mean, if you, as much of a pain in the butt it is,
Okay.
try and go through your evidence again, because I missed some really cool stuff because either I zoned out or somebody called my name or the phone rang or something happened,
Right. Right.
you know, and I was like, how did I miss that? You know, and
Yeah.
I was so glad that, like, you know, those colleges got a hold of us looking for that stuff, because there was some cool stuff that I missed.
Yeah. I miss the Haunted Mansion. I wish I could,
I
you know,
love that place.
yeah,
There
it's
was
such a
just the
hidden gem.
charm about
Yeah.
it. And even if they said to me, you know, like, "Well, Joe, you can go back, but, you know, you won't get anything. Do you still want to go?" Yes, I
Yeah.
do, because I just thought it was, there's just
Yeah.
something about it. Like when you
Yeah.
walk from the house into that Masonic lodge,
Hmm.
you know, it's just there's something about it.
Right.
I
I mean,
can't put
and
my
how
finger on it.
often, even though like the ghost hunts were separate from their Masonic stuff, but you got a chance to see like the ritual room and how all that was like set up was just it was creepy. Like it had the
Yeah,
creep
yeah,
factor.
yeah.
You know,
It
when you walk
totally
in
did.
there, you're like, whoa.
Yeah, and you know what I loved about it the best was, you go there and they're like, "Do you want the tour?" And like the first time we're like, "Sure, we want the tour." They take you on the tour and they're like, "Yep, have fun, see you later." And they just leave. They're just like, "Oh my
Yeah,
god, they just left us completely
yeah,
alone to go wherever we want in this crazy place.
right.
This is unbelievable, you know?"
Yeah. And it looks like this like little mansion, you know, in this neighborhood, Gothic neighborhood with other, you know, buildings that are similar like it around it. And but when you walk inside, it's massive.
It is. It is. It's so deceiving when you
Yeah.
park out front of it, and then once you get
You walk
inside it
in
and
and you're
see
like,
it.
"What?"
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And it's great that we both went to that same place and we can relate to what we're talking about. That's
Yeah,
great.
I really, I don't know what, so I tied it back. The whoever bought it under an LLC,
Right,
and I
right.
think it's called just Houghton Mansion LLC. And whoever did it's out of Sudbury, Mass. And they, as far as I could tell, they were a contractor of some sort.
Mhm.
And that's all the dirt I got. I don't know what they're gonna do, if they're gonna do anything. I mean, I can't see it being anything other than open for the paranormal, because,
Right,
like, as you
right.
said, like, it's really,
Not
it's
doing
not
it.
a tourist trap there.
Right.
So to turn it into a bed and breakfast,
Yeah, it's kind
what
of
else is out there that you'd want to
yeah,
see? You know, so I
yeah,
just,
like, don't get me wrong, North Adams is a beautiful area, but
a
it's not a
hundred
tourist
percent.
area.
Yeah, I'm not trying to diss the area. I
Right.
just don't see, like, it being a tourist trap,
Yeah,
you know.
exactly. Yep.
So I mean, I don't know. I just hope one day to get back
Yeah,
there, and I'll just
yeah,
leave it at that.
absolutely. Yeah, I'm with you on that. So, hopefully they will. Hopefully they'll do something with it. So, time will tell.
Yep. Yep.
But we if you're ever interested in, I'm sure you've heard about this gentleman. If you're interested in doing video ITC, I'm trying to follow the footwork and footsteps of Claus Schreiber
Yep.
and the Claus Schreiber method.
Yep.
Um,
I
they
know. I know
have
exactly.
Yeah, they have a
Yep.
lot of info on him out there available. I've been trying to follow everything he does to a T. The only thing that I need to do is really get myself some really old equipment, analog equipment, because I'm gonna go really, really back.
Well,
Not like
that was my.
follow.
So
Yeah,
Matt, that was my statement about when I'm thrifting.
right.
I'm looking for the old school stuff.
Yeah,
You know.
yep. I mean, I'm bringing back. Let me grab my
Yeah.
Polaroid camera.
Yep. Yep. And it's funny. Earlier you mentioned about the analog stuff.
Yeah,
Uh, I
and
I
then
I
have
picked up a bunch of old school tape recorders.
here we go.
Bingo. Yep. Yep. And I'm actually gonna incorporate some of that. When I go out, I want to see how the analog stuff works.
Yeah,
I've never really attempted it before. It's
right,
always been
right.
digital, digital, digital.
Yeah. See, I've been using my digital video camcorder to loop everything, but I think the frame rate's going to be too fast because this is like HD, it's high definition. So that's why I want to go revert back to the analog things because I think it's the frame rate that's going to be important to slow things down and being able to catch something within
Yeah.
those frames and that, you know, the way the frame rates used to run back with those devices, if you know what I'm getting at.
I totally know what you're getting at.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've read a lot about him and his techniques, and it's again, it's just one of those things that, like, boy, I would really like to find the time to do it just to see for myself.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, totally. So, and then I run static noise with it, and I think lighting is a real big important thing with ITC. I've learned a lot, believe it or not, from Ron Iacovetti because his knowledge on ITC, he puts a whole new standard as to the research and the equipment and what goes into ITC, and I really admire him. Hopefully he watches this episode and hears this, but
I think
uh,
Matt, I think he knows how you feel
yeah,
about him. In
yeah,
all
exactly.
honesty, you know what I
I
mean.
respect his work. Yeah,
Yeah, I do too. I mean, he has put in a short amount of time. He has put a lot of work into this,
yeah,
and he's made some pretty cool strides.
yeah,
And he's a great guy to boot. You
yep,
know,
yeah. He's one of the good guys. Yeah,
absolutely.
yep,
Yep.
definitely. So we're ending near the bottom of the show. I want to make sure that we cover everything. Any projects or any big shout outs, any networking any events that you're doing, use this moment to plug that
Okay.
away.
Cool. Thank you for that, Matt. So
Yeah,
I'm involved with a new ghost hunting event group called Get Haunted, and you can find us on the web. You can find us out on Facebook, and we're gonna start opening up tours, ghost hunts, at various haunted locations. Mainly now, like up and down the eastern seaboard. Pennsylvania, New Jersey, all the way up to probably Maine.
right.
So that's definitely something that I'm excited about working with those guys with. And it's going to be suited to all types of experience levels. Like, you don't have to be a seasoned ghost hunter, but we welcome seasoned ghost hunters too. You know what I
Sure.
mean? So we're
Yeah,
going to try and tailor the experience to the group. So that's one thing that I definitely like to get out there. That was get haunted, and you can find
sure.
us on the web and on Facebook. And the other thing I'd like to plug is, geez, for years I've had this YouTube channel, and I've
Nice.
never really pushed it. I've never ever asked anybody to subscribe. I just wanted it to grow organically, and honestly, it never has. So I don't know why, but I just decided, like, I really want to make this push to get subscribers, and ever since I did, I've kind of grown a little bit, but I would like to grow a little more. So if anybody's out there, and I like to think my content is pretty decent. One thing you can count on, if I put it out there, I did not fake any of it. It's all real stuff. And that's Paranormal Space New England, all one word. So that's my YouTube channel, the team's YouTube channel. And I got some really, really, really cool stuff. And I'm not just saying that because
Yeah.
I got terabytes
Nice.
of footage from every place.
Wow.
We didn't even scratch the places I've been to. I mean,
Right.
Trans-Allegheny, Waverly Hills, Randolph County Infirmary, Moundsville, Bel Air House. I mean, we didn't even really get a chance to even start scratching some of the
Oh, I
things.
know.
You know, so
Yeah.
Hillview Manor out in Ohio, like I have footage from all these locations that I plan on dumping on that channel at some point. So
Right.
if you guys can help me out, it's Paranormal Space New England, no space in between the new and the New England. And that's
And
about it.
And I will also put it up on my Strange Oddities podcast Facebook page and my own page as well, because anytime I have a guest, I plug them. When the link on YouTube processes, because it takes like a few hours. Once I get the link, I put it up and I put all their info in there.
Thank you, Matt. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Any shout outs and any words of advice for people that are starting out in the field, for newbies or even in general? Well,
I've been trying to give little tips throughout this interview.
Sure.
Right, to the newbies. So don't get discouraged if you don't get anything, because it's going to take it's like catching lightning in a bottle. Don't spend a lot of money on equipment till you know for sure this is right for you. Okay. And also try and buy used if you can, because this is something that's not for everybody, and everybody has the best intentions and they spend all types of money gearing up only to find out this isn't for them. And probably the reason why it isn't for most people is because you have a lot of nothing goes on.
Right.
Okay. The cat's out of the bag. A lot of nothing goes on. You have to have
Sure.
a lot of patience. My advice is to try and get in with a seasoned group and learn from seasoned people, use their equipment, decide whether it's the right hobby for you or not that way. So that's my advice to anybody looking to start ghost hunting. As far as shout outs go, just the guys from Paranormal New England, you're all my dearest friends. I'm not going to name every one of you, but my shout out solely goes to you guys. And to my new friends over at Get Haunted, my shout out goes to you guys as well.
Nice. And what's on your bucket list? If I know that it's probably a tremendous list, but if you can narrow down a few things on a list of what
So I was slated to go to Old South Pittsburgh Hospital twice, and both times plane fare, rent a car, and it got kiboshed. One was a family. The first time was a family thing that I had to bail on. Second time was COVID. I was lock, stock, and barrel going to go to Old South Pittsburgh Hospital, and COVID hit, and that got squashed. So that's first and foremost on my bucket list. I have to go there. And I will go there. So that Hills Bar Dam's another one that's high up on there. The tippity top one was Trans-Allegheny, which I was able to do, and that was probably the best location I've ever been to in my life. Set the bar very, very high.
My wife and I want to go there.
Oh, Matt, if you go, let me know. I'll go. Valeska Axe House, another one. Haven't been there. Those. So Hills Bar, Old South, Valeska Axe, those are probably like the next top three. Believe it or not, chatting with James and Nito, there's something in the works for going overseas maybe next year. I don't want to spend. I don't want to throw that teaser out there just yet. But we I'll just say it's in Italy and leave it at that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Don't forget us little people.
Well, I'll tell you. Nobody is more welcoming than James Anito. I
I
mean,
know.
he's like, come one, come
Yeah.
all. So, in all honesty,
Yeah. Well,
But Matt, you guys know, you guys have an open invite if you guys want to come up here and do anything. I mean, honestly.
thank you. Appreciate
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Quick funny story about James Anito since we're talking about him. That night that we got together for the Conjuring House in Rhode Island, we hung out with him the night before. We had a dinner party kind of at his house, and I don't think he had an awareness of how many people were coming with us. But he was like, "Ah, sure." He was like, "Why not? And bring everybody."
Yeah,
And
he's a gracious host, no
yeah,
doubt. Yeah.
it was great because it was like he welcomed all of us, and we were just all hanging
Yeah.
out and having a good time, and it was great. He was like, liked us so much that we hung out again.
Yeah. Yeah, great guy.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. So I've known him for quite a few years, and yeah, he's one of the good ones.
Yeah,
So
I like so James and I were kind of like Facebook friends for many years. Just he was aware of him, he was aware of me, I was aware of him. We actually met at a Paracon briefly. That was kind of it. And then I would say since COVID, we've really developed quite a good friendship. So I'm
cool.
very pleased with that.
Yeah,
Very happy that that uh that it worked out that way. So we got a few projects coming as well.
cool.
So stay tuned for
Awesome.
that.
Awesome. Well, stay with me. I make my little tidbits of information at the end of the show about upcoming things on Strange Oddities podcast. But Joe, it was great having you on the podcast tonight. I had a lot of fun. We can go on and on and on about talking shop with
100%. Yeah, we could. And thank you for
yeah,
having me on, man. It's my
yeah.
pleasure.
We haven't even hit a lot of things that we probably
No,
wanted
God,
to hit
no.
on.
Next time. Next
Yeah,
time.
next time. Absolutely.
Part
You're
part
always
two.
welcome. You're always
Thank
welcome.
you, Matt.
So, guys, and foremost, next week I have Jeff Bellinger as a guest on the Strange Oddities podcast. You're a New England guy. I'm sure you're well aware of who Jeff Bellinger is.
I've met Jeff. I've done some project with Jeff in the
Nice,
past, actually. Yeah.
nice. So I have him on next week. He is doing a project called New England Myths and Legends, I believe, in the New England area.
Yep.
I believe it's on PBS. I think, if I have the network right. I think it's on PBS or the local station
I
up there.
think it's a low. Yeah, I don't want to speak for Jeff, but
Sure.
he's had that for quite some time now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think it runs more local than
Okay.
national. But yeah,
Sure.
but we'll leave
Yeah.
that for Jeff, and Jeff's not
Yeah.
shy. So
Yeah. That'll be a lot of fun. And
yeah,
everybody also that are fans of Jeff Bellinger knows that he's a head researcher for the show Ghost Adventures. So he still works with those guys, and he
if you
does a lot
watch
of
the
that.
credits at the very end, you'll see Jeff's name roll past.
Yep.
Yep.
Exactly. And then the last show of January, I have Eric Shawn, Fox News anchor, will be on the Strange Oddities podcast, January 27th. Can't wait to have him on board. We're going to talk about Jimmy Hoffa and his
Cool.
book on
Nice.
exposing the United Nations.
Hey, listen, Matt. And when this gets over with, I have some great guests that I know would be fantastic for the show.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm game.
So
Whatever.
Laura, if you're out there, I'm talking about you, criminologist friend of mine.
Oh, nice.
Um, she got a great documentary out called The Toolbox Killers,
Oh,
and
yeah, I've heard of that. Yep.
yeah. So I mean, she'd make a fantastic guest for you, Matt, without
Yeah,
question.
yeah, absolutely. We'll have to share information.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I'm all game. So, guys, we're gonna leave it here. Want to just thank everybody who tuned in tonight. I know there wasn't much in the chat, or at least on my end. I can't see it. I have to fix that. I don't know what's going on with that, but I have to kind of watch my phone and the desktop at the same time. It's like chewing bubble gum and walking at the same time. Something I can't do. So anyway, guys, be well, stay safe. Hope everybody stays healthy, and that's it. God bless everybody. And have a great night. So we're gonna end
Thanks,
it here.
guys.
Yeah, have a great night, guys. So, Joe, stay with me. We'll say our
You
goodbyes
got it.
after the show. All right.